I overheard my drunk girlfriend of 3 years mocking me to her coworkers, saying, "He's so obsessed, I could cheat in front of him and he'd still blame himself." So, I gave her 30 days to move out. And now she's playing the victim online. Some background: I'm 34, run my own construction company that I built from the ground up, literally and figuratively, and until recently, I was in what I thought was a solid relationship with Sophia, 29F, who works in corporate marketing for one of those trendy tech startups downtown. Classic case of opposites attract, I guess. We met 3 years ago through mutual friends at the opening of this craft brewery in the industrial district. I remember it clearly because I almost didn't go that night. I'd been up since 5 a.m. finishing a bathroom remodel for a client who was coming back from vacation the next day, and all I wanted was my couch and whatever game was on TV. But my buddy Jake had been bugging me all week about this brewery opening, saying I needed to get out more and stop being such a hermit. So there I was, nursing my second IPA, that honestly tasted like someone had liquefied a pine tree, when Sophia walked in with a group of friends. She was wearing this simple blue dress that somehow made her stand out in the crowded room, and she had this laugh that carried over the music. Not gonna lie, I noticed her immediately, but I'm not exactly smooth with the ladies, especially ones that put together. Jake, however, knew one of her friends from college and dragged me over for introductions. From the start, she seemed genuinely interested in what I did, asking questions about my business, how I got started, the projects I worked on. It was refreshing to meet someone who didn't immediately assume construction guy meant couldn't get into college. She actually seemed impressed that I worked with my hands and had built something from nothing. For my part, I admired her ambition. The way she talked about her marketing campaigns and growth strategies with such passion made me want to hear more. She was smart, driven, and had these big plans for her career trajectory. We exchanged numbers that night, and I actually texted her the next day, breaking my usual 3-day rule, which my buddies still give me grief about. Our first date was at this hole-in-the-wall Mexican place I knew about, the kind with plastic chairs but the most authentic food in the city. I was a little worried she'd be expecting somewhere fancier, but she dove into those street tacos like she hadn't eaten in days and told me it was the best first date she'd been on in years. We ended up closing the place down, talking until the owner started pointedly mopping around our table. When Sophia and I first got together, she was living with a roommate named Jess in this cramped 2-bedroom apartment downtown. The place had character, code for old and falling apart, but the location was prime, walking distance to most of the city's nightlife and only a short bus ride to her office. The trade-off was that the apartment itself was tiny, with a kitchen barely big enough for one person to turn around in and a living room that fit exactly one love seat and a coffee table. About 6 months into our relationship, Jess dropped a bomb. She was moving to Seattle for a job opportunity. It came out of nowhere, and Sophia was freaking out. The apartment was already expensive split 2 ways, there was no way she could afford it alone. Plus, finding a decent roommate in our city is like finding a unicorn, nearly impossible unless you're willing to roll the dice on Craigslist, which, after some horror stories from friends, Sophia definitely wasn't. I bought my house the year before we met. Nothing fancy, just a solid 3-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood about 15 minutes from downtown. It's an older craftsman-style place with some character and a decent-sized yard where I'd been planning to build a deck. Spoiler alert, 3 years later and that deck is still just a Pinterest board. I'd been living there alone, using one bedroom as my office and the other to store tools and materials for smaller projects. Watching Sophia stress about finding a new place, I suggested she move in with me. No pressure, I told her, the offer was there when she was ready. I didn't want her to feel rushed into a bigger commitment than she was comfortable with, but it seemed like a logical solution. A month later, after viewing a couple of truly depressing studio apartments, she took me up on it. The day she moved in was chaos. Her parents drove down from 2 hours away to help, and between her dad's backseat driving and her mom's insistence on reorganizing my kitchen cabinets mid-move, "Marcus, honey, why are your drinking glasses above the stove? That makes no sense." It was a test of patience. But by that evening, with her family gone and boxes everywhere, we ordered pizza, opened a bottle of wine, and sat on the floor of what was now our living room, and it felt right. At first, things were great, better than great, actually. Sophia had an eye for design that I definitely lacked. My idea of decoration had been hanging my grandfather's old fishing lures in shadow boxes and calling it a day. Within a month, she'd transformed the place. Nothing dramatic or expensive, just thoughtful touches that made it feel more like a home than a guy's crash pad. She found this vintage map of our city at a flea market and had it framed for my office. She replaced my mismatched towels, accumulated from various Christmas gifts over the years, with actual sets that coordinated. She even managed to find throw pillows that I didn't hate, no small feat considering my general disdain for decorative items that serve no practical purpose. We agreed that she'd contribute a fixed amount monthly, well below what market rent would be, but enough to help with utilities and groceries. I never put her name on the deed or mortgage, and honestly, she never asked. This was my house that I'd worked my butt off to buy before we even met, putting in overtime and weekend jobs for years to save up the down payment. Our routines meshed well. I'm an early riser, occupational habit, construction sites get going at dawn, so I'd be up at 5:30, hit the home gym I'd set up in the garage for a quick workout, then make coffee for both of us. Sophia would stumble out of bed around 7, grumbling until that first caffeine hit. She'd take forever in the bathroom, seriously, what do women do in there for 45 minutes? While I'd make us breakfast, nothing fancy, usually just eggs and toast, though I make a mean frittata on weekends. Evenings, she'd usually get home before me since construction hours tend to run long, especially during summer. She'd often start dinner, and we'd eat together on the back patio when weather permitted. We got into this routine of watching those home renovation shows together, and she'd laugh at my running commentary about how unrealistic their budgets and timelines were. No, Karen, you cannot go to kitchen for $5,000 unless you're doing all the labor yourself and stealing the appliances from your neighbor's garage. We weren't perfect. We had our arguments, usually minor stuff like me tracking sawdust into the house or her leaving empty LaCroix cans everywhere. She'd get annoyed when I'd zone out after a long day, and I'd get frustrated when she'd bring work stress home. But for the most part, we navigated it well. Or so I thought. Fast forward to last month. Sophia's company was hosting their quarterly mixer at some upscale hotel downtown, the kind with valet parking and those little cucumber sandwiches that cost more than an entire lunch anywhere else. They do these events every quarter, open bar, management schmoozing with the rank and file, the works. It's basically a chance for everyone to get dressed up, drink on the company dime, and either network their way up the ladder or complain about work without fear of IT monitoring their Slack messages. Sophia had been looking forward to it for weeks. She'd been stressing about some big marketing campaign launch, putting in late nights and taking calls on weekends. This mixer was her chance to unwind and show off the results of all that hard work to the higher-ups. She'd even taken a half day off to get her hair done and bought this new dress that, not gonna lie, looked amazing on her. That evening, she kissed me goodbye around 6, looking gorgeous and excited. "Don't wait up," she'd said. "These things usually go late, and Melissa already offered to split an Uber home." I wasn't planning anything special that night, just catching up on some invoicing and maybe watching that UFC fight I'd recorded from the weekend. Around 9 p.m., my phone buzzed with a text from Sophia. "Hey babe. Had way eyed too many Moscow mules. Can you come get me? Don't trust these Uber drivers tonight lol." No problem. I saved the spreadsheet I was working on, threw on a clean shirt, the one she'd given me last Christmas that she said brought out my eyes, and headed downtown. The hotel was this recently renovated historic building with way too much marble and brass for my taste, but I had to admit it was impressive. Valet parking was backed up, so I found a spot in a nearby garage and walked over. When I got to the lobby, I texted Sophia, "I'm here. In the main lobby by the big plant thing." She replied, "K doing one last round with the team. Be down in 15. THX babe you're the best." The hotel had this mezzanine style layout where the bar and event space overlooked the main lobby. From where I was sitting, I had a clear view of the elevators and a partial view of the bar area above. I found a seat in one of those oversized lobby chairs and pulled out my phone to kill time, probably scrolling through Reddit, ironically enough. That's when I heard it, Sophia's laugh. I'd know it anywhere. It has this distinctive little snort at the end when she's really amused, which she's always been self-conscious about but I've always found adorable. Well, used to find adorable. It was followed by her voice, loud and loose from the drinks. I looked up to see her leaning against the railing with 3 coworkers, 2 guys in standard business casual and 1 woman in a red dress. They all had drinks in hand, and Sophia was gesturing animatedly the way she does when she's a few drinks in. "He's probably already here waiting like a puppy," she said, loud enough that it carried down to the lobby. The group laughed, and I felt my stomach drop. Was she talking about me? One of the guys, tall, dark hair, expensive watch, "I noticed these things," said something I couldn't hear, and Sophia responded with, "I know, right? He's so obsessed with me. I could literally cheat on him right in front of his face, and he'd probably just blame himself for not being good enough." More laughter. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. 3 years together, countless memories, building what I thought was a life together, and this was how she talked about me when I wasn't around? The woman in the red dress, who I later found out was Melissa, the same one who'd offered to split an Uber, said something about me being loaded though, right? And Sophia laughed again. "The house is nice, but he's not exactly rolling in it. You should see how he tracks every penny in this little notebook. It's pathetic." That little notebook was how I built my business from nothing. When I started out, I had exactly $4,300 to my name, a used truck with 170,000 miles on it, and tools I'd collected over years of working for other contractors. That notebook tracked every expense, every profit margin, making sure I never overextended. That discipline is why I could afford the house she was so comfortable living in while contributing less than a third of the expenses. The worst part? I wasn't even angry in that moment. Just hollow. Like someone had scooped out everything inside me and left an empty shell sitting there in that pretentious hotel lobby. 3 years together, and this was how she saw me, as some obsessed sucker she could manipulate. I texted her, "Don't bother coming down. Find another ride." Then I blocked her number and drove home. The drive home was a blur. I remember sitting at a red light, some song playing on the radio about love and trust, and just reaching over to turn it off mid-verse. I remember thinking how strange it was that the world looked exactly the same streetlights, same late-night fast food drive-thrus with cars lined up, same people walking their dogs, when everything inside me had just completely shifted. When I got home, I poured myself 2 fingers of the whiskey I saved for special occasions, ironically, a bottle Sophia had given me for my birthday, and called my buddy Mike. Mike and I go way back, we played high school football together, and now he's a lawyer specializing in real estate and tenant issues. I explained the situation, including the fact that Sophia had been living with me for over 2 years. He confirmed what I suspected, even without a formal lease, she had established residency and legally had tenant rights. You need to do this by the book, Mike said. Give her formal written notice. 30 days is standard in our state. You can't just change the locks and throw her stuff out, no matter what she said. Not what I wanted to hear, but I wasn't about to create legal problems for myself on top of the emotional mess. I spent the next couple hours writing up a formal 30-day notice to vacate and outlining a plan. I may have been blindsided emotionally, but I'm nothing if not methodical when it comes to solving problems. When Sophia finally made it home around 1 a.m., presumably having found another ride, I was waiting in the living room. I hadn't turned on many lights, just the lamp next to my chair, which in retrospect probably made the scene more dramatic than I intended. She came in looking confused, still in her party dress, makeup smudged. What the hell, Marcus? Why did you leave me stranded? And why did you block my number? I had to get a ride from Kevin. I stood up, handed her the written notice, and said, I was in the lobby. I heard everything you said upstairs. You have 30 days to find a new place. This is your formal notice. Her face went through about 5 different expressions in 3 seconds: confusion, realization, panic, anger, and finally, damage control. Baby, no. I was drunk. It was just stupid work talk. I didn't mean any of that. She tried to reach for me, but I stepped back. Save it. I'm sleeping in the guest room tonight. Tomorrow, I'll help you pack whatever you need immediately. The rest you can get during the notice period. She started crying, tried to follow me as I walked away, but I closed the guest room door and locked it. I could hear her sobbing and pleading through the door, then trying to call my phone repeatedly. I'd silenced it. I didn't sleep much that night. The guest bed, which I'd originally bought thinking my parents would visit more often than their actual once-a-year trip, wasn't nearly as comfortable as my bed. Plus, my mind was racing, replaying not just the night's events but moments from our entire relationship, looking for signs I'd missed. Had she always seen me this way? Was this a recent development? Had I been completely blind, or had she just gotten better at hiding her true feelings? I thought about the previous weekend when we'd gone hiking and had a picnic at this overlook I'd discovered years ago. She'd seemed genuinely happy then, taking selfies of us together, telling me it was the perfect day. Had that all been an act? The next morning, I took the day off work. I texted my foreman, Dave, that I had a family emergency and asked him to oversee the kitchen renovation we were doing in the Heights. Dave's been with me since almost the beginning, he knows his stuff and I trust him completely. Still, stepping back from work isn't something I do lightly. Every day I'm not on site is potential problems I'm not there to solve. Sophia had finally passed out on the couch around 4 a.m. I left her there and went to Home Depot when they opened at 6. The employees there know me by name at this point, hazard of the job. I bought a separate keypad deadbolt for the guest room and installed it before Sophia woke up. This would be my private space for the next month where I could keep my important documents and valuables. When Sophia woke up, she tried again with the tears and explanations. She looked rough, still in last night's clothes, mascara streaked down her face, hair a tangled mess. For a split second, I felt that instinct to comfort her, to put my arms around her and tell her everything would be okay. But then I remembered her voice. He's so obsessed with me. I could literally cheat on him right in front of his face. I cut her off. Look, I'm not interested in drama. You have 30 days as the law requires. I'll be civil, but we're done. If you want to leave sooner, that's your choice. But my stuff is all still here. Take what you need now. The rest you can move gradually or all at once, whatever works for you. I'll be staying in the guest room with my own separate lock until you're out. You're really doing this over one stupid drunk comment? It wasn't just a comment. It was the truth. You showed me exactly what you think of me. She stormed off to shower and get ready for work. I heard her making calls, presumably to friends, looking for a place to stay. Before she left for work, she tried one more time to talk, but I just repeated the terms of our separation. That day, I contacted my security company and had them change the alarm codes, effective the following month when her notice period would end. I made arrangements for all the utilities to be transferred solely to my name after the 30 days. I documented the condition of the house with photos in case she decided to damage anything. I went into work for the afternoon, throwing myself into the most physically demanding tasks I could find. Something about installing drywall and swinging a hammer helped clear my head. Dave didn't ask questions, just handed me tools and kept the crew focused on their own tasks. For the next week, we lived in awkward coexistence. I'd wake up early, as usual, but instead of making coffee for 2, I'd make just enough for myself and be out the door before she got up. I'd come home late, usually after she'd locked herself in her room. We passed like ghosts in our own home. She tried everything: crying, anger, seduction, guilt trips. One night, I came home to find her in the kitchen wearing nothing but one of my work shirts, cooking my favorite meal, bourbon glazed salmon with roasted potatoes, if you're curious. Another night, she left a photo album on the guest room bed filled with pictures from our vacations together and little notes about her favorite memories. I remained calm and firm. Not because I didn't feel anything, trust me, I was a mess inside, but because engaging with any of it would just prolong the inevitable. This wasn't a negotiation. There was no path back from what I'd heard. Eventually, she told me she'd found a friend's place to crash and would be out by the weekend, just 10 days after the incident. I'll still need access to get the rest of my stuff, she said. I can't move everything at once. That's fine. We'll schedule specific times for you to come pack up the rest. I'll help if you want, or I can be gone if you prefer. The day she moved out, I helped load her immediate essentials into her friend Sarah's car. Clothing, toiletries, electronics, some kitchenware she'd brought with her originally. It was a silent, tense process. Sarah kept shooting me these dirty looks, and I could tell Sophia had given her the heavily edited version of events. I didn't care. I wasn't going to try to win over her friends or justify myself to them. The only person I needed to be right with was me. Before she left, Sophia tried one last time. I really do love you, Marcus. What you heard, that wasn't me. That was just stupid drunk talk trying to impress people I don't even care about. I just nodded. I've got your things organized in the garage for when you're ready to get the rest. Just text me and we'll arrange a time. After she left, I changed the code on the electronic keypad for the front door. She still had a physical key to the old deadbolt, but the electronic lock would prevent access. I also temporarily disabled her fingerprint access to the smart lock and changed the alarm code, documenting all these changes with dated notes in case of future legal questions. That night was the first night in our house, my house, without her. I ordered a pizza, something she never wanted since she was always trying to eat clean, opened a beer, and watched an action movie at full volume with my feet up on the coffee table. It should have felt liberating, but mostly it just felt empty. I spent Sunday deep cleaning the kitchen and reorganizing my office, which had become a catch-all space during our time together. I found a drawer full of her things, hair ties, a spare phone charger, a half-empty bottle of the perfume I'd given her last Christmas. I packed it all in a box to add to her remaining belongings. 3 days later, I hadn't heard from her about retrieving her remaining belongings. I decided to unblock her number to check if she'd been trying to contact me. When I did, I found 62 missed calls and a flood of text messages ranging from furious to desperate. What the heck is wrong with you? Answer your freaking phone. Please, baby. I'm sorry for whatever I did. You can't just throw me out. I live there. I'm calling the police. Please, I need my stuff for work tomorrow. I'm at Sarah's, but I can't stay here. Can we please just talk? The most recent text was from the night before. I know you heard me at the party. I was drunk. I didn't mean it. Please give me a chance to explain. I replied with one message. Your remaining belongings are organized in the garage. Text me to schedule a time to pick them up. You can have access any day this week between 5 to 8 p.m. Let me know which day works. She responded immediately. Can I come tonight? Yes. The garage keypad code is 1234 for today only. I've arranged everything in labeled boxes. The side door to the garage will be unlocked from 5 to 8 p.m. She showed up at 6:30 p.m. I stayed inside the house, monitoring through the security cameras I had installed in the garage years earlier for tool theft prevention. Losing $3,000 worth of tools in one night early in my career had made me security conscious. She spent about an hour going through everything, occasionally wiping tears away. Before leaving, she looked directly at the camera and extended her middle finger. Once her car was gone, I went out and changed the garage keypad code again, then locked the side door. She had taken most of her remaining possessions, leaving behind only some decorative items and kitchenware we bought together. The next morning, I contacted a locksmith to change the physical locks, not because I thought she'd try to break in, but because it was time for a fresh start. The locksmith replaced both the front and back door locks, and I had him add a deadbolt to the door connecting the garage to the house as an extra precaution. 2 weeks after Sophia moved out, a full 20 days before her legal notice period would have ended, I received a formal email from her stating she was voluntarily surrendering her tenancy and had removed all possessions she wanted to keep. I forwarded this to Mike to confirm it was legally sufficient documentation. Since then, she's been on a campaign to trash me to anyone who will listen. According to her social media, which I've only seen screenshots of from friends, I blocked her on everything the night of the incident. I'm controlling, financially abusive, and threw her out with nothing because I was obsessed and couldn't handle rejection. The truth? I never once checked her phone, never questioned who she was with, never put restrictions on her spending or demanded she account for her time. I was just a guy who loved his girlfriend and thought we were building something together. Our mutual friends have mostly tried to stay neutral, which I respect. A few have quietly let me know they're on my side but don't want to get publicly involved in the drama. My close friends who've known me for years know the truth, and that's what matters to me. Last night, I got a text from one of the coworkers who was there that night, the woman in the red dress. Turns out she and Sophia aren't on speaking terms anymore. You should know she's been talking about moving in with Kevin from sales. Same guy she was flirting with at the party. Apparently, they've been hooking up for a while. Sorry. I didn't feel anything reading it. No anger, no jealousy, nothing. That's when I realized I was actually free. Today, I hired a cleaning service to deep clean the house. They scrubbed everything from the baseboards to the ceiling fans. I threw out the sheets, rearranged the furniture, moved her remaining mail to a box for her to pick up if she ever bothers to ask for it. I even repainted the bedroom, a project she'd been pushing for but we never got around to. Went with a deep blue instead of the gray she'd wanted. My house, my choices. One of our mutual friends texted asking if I was okay after the breakup. I replied, never better. House is quiet, bills are lower, and I don't have someone pretending to love me while mocking me behind my back. She called me cold. Maybe I am, but I'd rather be cold than be someone's joke. Here's what I've learned: when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. I'm not saying I was perfect. No relationship is one-sided. But respect is non-negotiable. And the moment I heard her true thoughts, the decision made itself. I wasn't obsessed with Sophia. I was invested in us. There's a difference. When I realized us was just a convenient fiction for her, walking away wasn't hard. It was the only option that preserved my self-respect. The funny thing is, I actually do blame myself, not for not being good enough like she joked, but for missing the red flags along the way. The subtle digs about my career choice, it's cute how passionate you were about bathroom renovations, the constant comparisons to her coworkers' boyfriends, the way she'd roll her eyes when I talked about business goals. But that's on me, and I own it. I ignored those things because it was easier than confronting the truth that I was with someone who didn't respect me. For the guys reading this who might see themselves in my story, remember this: being a good partner doesn't mean being a doormat. The minute someone shows they don't value you, walk away. No drama, no revenge plots, no desperate attempts to win them back. Just pick up your dignity and move on. As for me, the company's doing well, just landed a contract for a full restaurant renovation that'll keep us busy through summer. I've refocused on work, started hitting the gym regularly again, and reconnected with friends I'd neglected. I've even taken up mountain biking on weekends, something Sophia always complained took too much time away from us. My house feels like mine again. I can leave my work boots by the door without hearing about tracking dirt everywhere. I can eat cereal for dinner if I want. I can fall asleep watching documentaries about ancient civilizations that Sophia found boring. And those 62 missed calls? They're still unanswered. Some things don't deserve a response. Edit: wow, this blew up overnight. Thanks for the comments. To answer some common questions. 1. Yes, I handled the situation legally by giving her formal 30-day notice as required in my state, even though she voluntarily left much sooner. I consulted with a lawyer friend from the beginning to make sure I did everything by the book. 2. No, I'm not interested in getting her back or revenge. That's not the point. 3. For those asking if there were warning signs, in hindsight, yes. She'd make jokes at my expense in front of friends. She'd compare our relationship to her friends' relationships constantly. Classic stuff I should have picked up on. 4. To the people saying I should have confronted her at the party, what would that have accomplished besides a messy public scene? Actions speak louder than words. 5. And finally, yes, I really do track my business expenses in a physical notebook in addition to accounting software. It's a habit from when I started with nothing but a truck and some tools. Sue me. Edit 2. For those asking about the house, yes, I bought it before we met. No, her name wasn't on anything. She paid a fixed monthly contribution, not formally rent, but functionally similar. This wasn't some elaborate scheme to screw her over financially. It was just the arrangement that made sense when she moved in. Edit 3. Since people keep asking about the aftermath, yes, I've heard through mutual friends that she's already officially dating Kevin from her office. No, I don't care. And no, I'm not sitting around plotting revenge or crying into my beer. I'm just living my life. Edit 4. Someone asked about what happened with her stuff that she left behind. After she got the main things from the garage, there were still some decorative items, books, and kitchen gadgets she didn't take. I boxed everything up neatly and have it stored in the basement. I sent her one text letting her know I have these items if she wants them, and she can arrange a time to pick them up. No response so far. I'm giving it another month before donating everything to Goodwill. Edit 5. Thanks for all the support, Reddit. Never expected this kind of response. To the people asking if I'm ready to date again, not yet. I'm enjoying the peace and quiet, focusing on myself and my business. When the right person comes along, I'll be in a better place to recognize and appreciate them. Final update. Okay folks, signing off now. This has been therapeutic in a way I didn't expect. Sometimes telling your story to strangers on the internet is easier than hashing it out with people who know both of you. For those in similar situations, trust your gut. You deserve someone who respects you behind closed doors as much as they do in public. Peace out, Reddit.